Hi, I'm Micah Halpern. Thank you for joining me today as I do some thinking out loud. Our first segment is called Background Briefing. The first thing I've been thinking about is music and Israel's place on the international music stage. 200 million people sat on the edge of their seats watching and listening to the 67th annual Eurovision Song Contest, colloquially known simply as Eurovision. Americans were hardly among their number. In fact, to put it in perspective, Americans know more about the sport of curling, a sport watched only every 4 years during the Winter Olympics in America, than they know about Eurovision. Eurovision is for the American public what the World Cup is for the American public. While we know nearly nothing about these events, the remainder of the world is glued to them, enthralled by them, charmed by them. You can imagine, Eurovision is akin to a musical Olympics. It's a spectacle. It's an extravaganza. It's an annual event during which 54 member countries and 30 associate member countries of the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, compete to be crowned the best musical performance of the year. Each participating country sends a singer to perform their country's musical entry, or group. Songs are judged not by a panel of experts, but by the viewers from participating countries. During Eurovision, international rivalries are pushed aside. More importantly, politics is pushed aside. Last year, Ukraine won. That decision, those votes were probably to be expected. Traditionally, the previous year's winner hosts the next year's contest. Given that Ukraine is still at war with Russia, another venue was chosen, Liverpool, England. The city was festooned with Ukrainian memorabilia. Some of the world's best-selling singles were actually first performed at Eurovision. ABBA won with Waterloo. You remember that? That was in 1974.
Waterloo, I was defeated, you won the war. Waterloo, promise to love me forevermore. Waterloo, couldn't escape if I wanted to. Waterloo, knowing my fate is to be with you.
The song was a nod to the 1815 Battle of Waterloo, during which Napoleon was defeated by a joint force from England and the Netherlands, successfully ending Napoleon's empire. Celine Dion, Julio Iglesias, Cliff Richard, Olivia Newton-John have all been Eurovision winners. This year, Sweden won. Finland took second place. Israel was third, Italy fourth, and Norway fifth. The third place Israeli winner is Noah Kirel. The song she sang, co-composed and co-wrote, was titled Unicorn.
I'm gonna stand here like a unicorn out here on my own. I got the power of a unicorn. Don't you ever learn? And then I'll pull it back, I'll pull it down. I'm going up, you better turn around. The power of a unicorn. The power of a unicorn. You wanna see me dance? You wanna see me dance? Europe, you wanna see me dance? Watch me.
Israel has won the competition 4 times, in 78, 79, 98, and 2018. Israel hosted Eurovision 3 times, twice in Tel Aviv and once in Jerusalem. Israel has made it into the finals 38 out of the 45 times they appeared. Israel's a little country with a long list of enemies. Israel the only democratic country in its region being slammed by international community for anti-democratic machinations, Israel, the country that one either loves or hates, or loves to hate. Given the amount of hatred directed at the Jewish state, it is startling that they have been so successful on the international music stage, especially because voting is done by you and me, by viewers from participating countries, sitting in their dens, living rooms, and bedrooms, casting their votes. Actually, not by us because we're from the United States. These voters were able to push aside politics and prejudice and predispositions and cast their votes for the most talented voices they heard. Israeli musical artists have become household names around the world because of Eurovision, because of their talent, their sheer talent. It's as simple as that, talent. Song, like sport, has successfully overshadowed politics in the international arena. Song, like sport, has cast Israel in a positive light in certain places. As in song, Israel has made its mark on the judo mat. In 1992, during the Summer Olympics in Barcelona, Israel won their first ever Olympic medals in any sport. And that sport was judo. And that year, Israel won both a silver and a bronze medal in judo. From that moment on, Israel has won medals in judo at World Championships, Asian Championships, Eurasian Championships, European Championships, and all across the world. Music, like sport, is an international language. The focus is on performance, on perfection, on creativity. Politics be damned. The song Abani B brought Israel's first Eurovision title in 1978. Written in a children's language similar to Pig Latin, only in Hebrew, the title of the song means I love you.
Abani bi amo ebe, abani bi amo ebe no botaba, abani bi amo ebe, abani bi amo ebe no botaba, abani bi amo ebe, obo ebe no botaba. כשהיינו ילדים, אהבנו בסוד הסודות. אל מי היינו נחמדים, רק לדודים ולדודות.
The next year, 1979, Israel won again with the song Hallelujah, made famous in the United States, sung by Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. Ghana International won again in 1988 with Diva. And in 2018, Neda won with Toy. In a world based on talent and creativity, that's where Israel would be soaring. When societies and world leaders base decisions on successes, when they establish relations and draft foreign policies reflected of a desire to improve their nations, that's where Israel has an opportunity to excel. I call that an even playing field, a meritocracy. The Abraham Accords are perfect examples. These agreements between Arab nations and Israel are not about ideologies and politics. They're about mutual benefits. Arab countries, especially Arab leaders, benefit from Israel's great creativity in technology and weaponry, in medicine. Were it be only about ideology, the friendship circle would be much smaller. Machiavelli once said, "Better to be feared than loved." Had he been alive today, thinking about Israel, he might have revised the statement to "better to be respected for your contributions than stereotyped and hated." Coming up next, Points of View. First up is a column from the New York Post, co-written by Alan Dershowitz and Andrew Stein. It was published on Friday, May 19th, 2023. This column is entitled, "Why Biden Might Be the Dems' Last Pro-Israel President." As the title indicates, these authors predict that Democrats are moving away from Israel. This is how they begin. Long-range planners in Israel worry Joe Biden may be the last pro-Israel Democratic president. More fundamentally, they fear Israel is quickly becoming a wedge issue, separating Democrats from Republicans. Backing for the nation state of the Jewish people has historically been bipartisan, with Democrats being slightly more supportive. But this has changed recently for several reasons. First, Israel has moved more to the right as a result of demographic changes, increased immigration from former communist countries, and higher birth rates among ultra-Orthodox and Sephardic Jews, and the refusal of the Palestinian leaders to accept peace proposals has weakened the left. Second, the Republican Party, especially its influential evangelical base, has become more supportive of Israel than old-line business-oriented Republicans used to be. Finally, the most important, younger Democrats are moving to the left and away from the increasingly conservative Israeli government. The authors now provide more reasons for the shift and suggest that this is the wave of the future in the Democratic Party. The column continues. But domestic political support among elected Democratic officials has wavered of late. This reflects the ambivalence among many Democratic voters about Israel, with recent polls showing increasingly favorable attitudes toward the Palestinian side by younger Democrats, including young Jews. The growing influence of the rabidly anti-Israel radical wing of the Democratic Party may portend the future. It will certainly have an effect on the primary, where a relatively small but energized group can determine the outcome, as evidenced by the 2018 primary victory of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in a heavily Democratic New York district. We will likely see much more such victories by radical anti-Israel Democrats in the years to come. For their conclusions, the authors write the following. Things may change, of course, if Israel were to become involved in a hot war with Iran that posed an existential threat. Many more Jewish voters might prioritize their support. If the Israeli government were to move more towards the center, some voters could view it more favorably. The same might be true if a deal were made with the Palestinians. Recent polls show increasingly favorable attitudes towards the Palestinian side by younger Democrats, including young Jews. But no one can count on any such changes. The likely future is a growing wedge between the Democrats and Republicans over Israel. This poses a dilemma for longtime Democrats like us, who do prioritize backing for Israel. Should we remain within the Democratic Party and try to influence it away from its shift against Israel? Or should we give up on the party we have supported for so long and help the party now on Israel's side of the wedge? One of us, Alan, is planning to remain a Democrat and vote for Biden while seeking to marginalize the radical anti-Israel elements in that party. The other, Andrew, has decided to vote for Republican. Others, like us, are making similarly painful choices. This is a sobering analysis by two respected thinkers, and an analysis that is extremely and deeply troubling. Next up is a column by Rabbi Dr. Meir Soloveitchik, and it's entitled The Marvel and Scandal of Jerusalem. Subtitled, Anti-Semitism is Rooted in Envy of the Jewish People's Eternal Endurance. This column is from the Wall Street Journal, also published May 19th, 2023. The motivation behind the column was a celebration of Yom Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem Day. And this is how Meir Soloveitchik begins. Thousands of religious Israelis are celebrating Jerusalem Day, which began Thursday at sundown. On Friday morning at the Western Wall, they will recite psalms of thanksgiving commemorating the moment in the Six-Day War of 1967 that Israeli soldiers conquered the ancient city of Jerusalem, making it the heart of Israel's capital. Those assembled won't merely mark a military achievement 56 years ago. Their minds will travel back to the earliest origins of the sacred city, to its conquest by King David, and to the empires that have destroyed it, only to have it rise again from the ashes. They will ponder how Jewish Jerusalem reflects the miracle of Jewish existence, one that allows us to understand why, for better or for worse, the world's attention remains riveted on Israel. Soloveitchik explains how Jerusalem is different, how it is special and different not just for the Jews, but how Jerusalem is truly different from all other cities all over the world. He writes, no city in the world has a history like Jerusalem, and no other people has a relationship to a location like the Jews do to it. To study Jerusalem is to study the story of the world, from Egyptian pharaohs to Mesopotamian kings, from Greek and Roman emperors to kaisers and sultans. They and others sought to end Jewish presence in the ancient city permanently. Yet Jerusalem is a Jewish city restored, while other ancient cities of biblical past, Babel, P. Ramses, Nineveh, are in ruin. As Norman Podhoretz once put it, Jerusalem reflects the scandal of Jewish particularity. The uniqueness of one city in world history testifies to the enduring nature of one people on this earth. Established as Israel's capital when now extinct empires bestrode the world, it was toward Jerusalem that Jews prayed in exile, binding themselves to it as empire after empire became Ozymandias of its age. Jews celebrate the anniversary of the Jewish return to ancient Jerusalem not only because it is central to their spiritual lives, but also because it is a reminder of God's providence in the history of their people and the world. Soloveitchik concludes by recounting a conversation that took place between Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. They were speaking about the Jewish future. Soloveitchik writes, but what will happen in the long term is beyond question. During the Camp David negotiations of 1978, President Jimmy Carter warned Prime Minister Menachem Begin that the Accords were Israel's last opportunity to achieve peace. Begin replied, our people lived thousands of years before Camp David and shall continue to exist thousands of years after. There are no last opportunities or chances. The endurance of the Jewish people and the indestructibility of its bond to Jerusalem is assured. That's why enemies threaten from without and political disputes fester within. Jews this Friday will stand at the center of an ancient city and sing words their ancestors sang in the same place millennia ago. This is the day that the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is an excellent, excellent column. Thank you, Meir Soloveitchik. Coming up, commentary through cartoons where pictures tell the story. I'm going to show you 7 headlines, cartoons, and memes today. This first is extremely funny. One has to ask what the driver was thinking and how did the cops respond to this? The headline reads, Colorado driver tries switching places with dog to avoid a DUI. That's funny. Budweiser Beer and Anheuser-Busch have taken a lot of heat lately for their total misread of the market. So they came up with a new proposal to try to reverse the negative publicity and slump in scales they were facing. This too backfired. The headline reads, Bud Light mocked for $20 rebate on $1998 case of beer. They're giving it away. It doesn't stop. Bud Light's efforts to get back to their customers continues to backfire. This next headline reads, Camo print beer bottler, latest effort by Bud Light to please customers after Dylan Mulvaney disaster. This next meme, and at the same time a headline, it pokes fun at the terrible Netflix-made movie, Cleopatra, which portrays the heroine as a black woman. The caption reads, it has the worst audience score in TV history. This next cartoon is a joke about Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who claim to have been chased all around Manhattan in a 2-hour high-speed chase. A crazy, crazy idea. The caption reads, after a grueling and sometimes dangerous 2-hour car chase, the paparazzi finally managed to lose Harry and Meg. That's funny. Paparazzi lost them. This next cartoon is very funny. A robot comes into a bar and irately asks the bartender, where do they get off calling my intelligence artificial? In a moment, more of my own perspective and a few predictions. Russia announced indictments in absentia for a judge and prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, aka the World Court, who issued war crimes warrants against Vladimir Putin. A statement from Russia's National Investigative Committee said the judge, Rosario Savalti Atala, and prosecutor Khan Karim Assad Ahmed are both charged with preparing to attack a representative of a foreign country enjoying international protection in order to complicate international relations. That's a long law. The judge and the prosecutor also face other charges in Russia. Conviction could bring prison terms of up to 12 years. The Russian committee also announced that several other World Court officials are being investigated. TASS news agency has quoted Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko as saying that Western countries will be running colossal risks if they supply Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets. Grushko's statement came in response to US President Joe Biden telling G7 leaders that Washington supports joint allied training programs for Ukrainian pilots on the F-16 fighters. Iran's judiciary said that it had executed the head of a network that trafficked Iranian women to neighboring countries for prostitution. According to the information that was released by the judiciary's Mizan's news agency, Shahruz Saknouri, a man known as Alex, was the leader of an escort and trafficking network of Iranian women and girls to some countries in the region. The report went on to explain that Saknouri was executed for a crime of human trafficking for the purpose of prostitution. The story has been ongoing because in 2020, Iranian media reported that Alex had been captured in Malaysia in coordination with Interpol and transferred to Iran. He was sentenced to death in September 2021 on charges of corruption on earth. That's a term Iranians use to refer to a broad range of offenses, including those related to moral issues. Adidas will start selling some of the shoes from its defunct Yeezy partnership with rapper Kanye West. They'll do this at the end of May. The company plans to donate the proceeds of all the sales to organizations fighting anti-Semitism and racism. Adidas cut ties with West, who also goes by the name of Ye, over anti-Semitic comments that he made last year. The break left Adidas, the German sportswear maker, holding Yeezy's shoes worth 1.2 billion euros, which is $1.3 billion. Adidas does not say how much of the proceeds it would donate, saying only that a significant amount would be given to organizations including the Anti-Defamation League, Philonis, and Kida Floyd Institute for Social Change, run by George Floyd's brother, which aims to fight systemic racism in the United States. The IDF arrested 5 Palestinians who attempted to cross the West Bank, the security border near Hebron, and confiscated an M16 assault rifle that one of the suspects was carrying. Israel's tourism minister, Chaim Katz, announced that his ministry will invest a total of 8 million shekel to bolster tourism of Jerusalem's Western Wall between the years 2023 and 2024. The Ministry of Tourism will be adding 4 million shekel to the previous year's budget. Katz released a statement which read, "The Western Wall's historical and national significance obligates the government to maintain it accordingly." Indian Prime Minister Modi said on Twitter that he had met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky upon Zelensky's arrival to Hiroshima, Japan, where the leaders of the G7 and other invited countries were meeting. The meeting, a photo of which was posted on social media networks all across the world, is the first meeting between the two leaders since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 15 months ago, an invasion that India has refused to condemn. India is a major importer of Russian gas and oil, and that was the bone of contention between the two leaders. We've been thinking out loud about a lot today. Now that you know what I've been thinking, let me know what you're thinking. Email me at micah@jbstv.org. Tweet me at Micah Halpern. Tell me what you think. Before we end, let me leave you with one piquante piece of information. Did you know that Noah Kirel, who represented Israel in Eurovision and won 3rd place there with her song Unicorn, was diagnosed with an awful bacteria that destroyed one of her kidneys when she was only 3 months old? Today, she has only one functioning kidney. At the time, a rabbi suggested her parents change her name. The name given to the now famous singer at birth was Noya, and it was changed to Noah. This is a very common practice when Jews fall ill, changing the name. Noah is a child of an Israeli intermarriage. Her father is from German Jewish descent, and her mother is from Sephardi descent. That's the intermarriage I'm talking about. On their way back to Israel from Liverpool, where Eurovision took place, Noah and her mother flew El Al business class. The flight was a buzz, with media screens reading Mazal Tov, Noah, we're so proud of you. Seated next to Noah was a rabbi from Gush Etzion named Yosef Tzvi Rimon. Naively, he asked his seatmate if she knew who it was that the passengers were so excited about. She said, "Me." "What do you do?" Or "What did you do?" he asked. She explained to the rabbi what Eurovision was, and Noah and her mother then went on to tell the rabbi that their grandfather was a rabbi and a sofer, someone who wrote Sifrei Torah, Torahs. She also told them that she does not use her cell phone on Shabbat, and even prayed Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings, the day of the European and Eurovision finals. She asked if the rabbi could take a selfie with her, and they did. They exchanged phone numbers, and Noah sent the photo to him. Rabbi Rimon then sent it to his family group on Facebook and wrote that he wished his grandchildren were there to be part of this experience. The selfie picture of the rabbi and the singing sensation went viral. What a touching encounter. Thank you for thinking out loud with me, Micah Halpern. Let's think out loud again next week on JBS.